Hello, Antonio, and welcome to Guide Talk. So glad you could come on the show. Thanks for coming.
Happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, what I'd like to do today is talk a little bit about the new company that you're founded, I believe, and the CEO of. But before we do that, and about the amazing product that you have, let's talk about. Let me tell everybody a little bit about you and about this company. I'm joined today by Antonio Uccello. He's the CEO, Chairman of Tersis. Is that how you pronounce it, Tersis?
No, it's Tersis.
Tersis.
Just Tersis. Tersis.
Tersis. Antonio is a former investment banker who I've known in the past, full transparency, and has turned entrepreneur. Well, he's always been kind of that entrepreneur spirit as long as I've known him, who's building a public company focused on turning waste into energy, valuable resources. He's on a mission to align profitability, environmental impact, and create scalable solutions for a cleaner, more sustainable future. Boy, that sounds pretty lofty there, Antonio. You're going to have a lot of splaining to do here, buddy.
I understand.
So let's talk a little bit about your company. How did you come about this?
So the company has been public for several years, and was we took the company public in like 2004 originally, and it was a different business back then. And so over the years, we were involved in the outdoor media business, signs on the sides of trucks initially. We owned a biotech company out of Shanghai. We had a call center business in Philadelphia that was doing about $20 million a year, had 1,500 employees in 5 different states. And most recently, we decided that we were going to rebrand the company, get a new stock symbol, a new name, and we came up with the name Tersis, Tersis. Ter as in terra, the earth, right, and sis as in synthesis. And so, on a personal note, in 2022, I got the news that I had cancer. The good news is I beat it, and I'm here, and I got some stuff to do.
Well, keep swinging, my friend. Keep swinging.
That's it. So I decided that we wanted to do something that had real legacy and changing the planet. Every time I drive through a town, I see the waste. Somehow I see a mound of waste, and the landfills just keep getting taller and taller and taller. When you go into Whole Foods, everything's in plastic. People eat it, they throw it out, it goes in the landfill. Well, we came across a technology, Syngenic V3 technology, that we have an exclusive on. And this machine will consume 36 tons of whatever we feed it a day. And then it will produce gases, if that's what we want to produce, that can run a Caterpillar genset generator and produce electricity. So certain feedstocks have higher outputs than others. For instance, one machine, 36 tons of wood, that will produce probably 1.3 megawatts a day. If we put in rubber tires, it'll produce 3 megawatts.
So it doesn't matter what, you could put any kind of...
We could put municipal solid waste in there. The issue is garbage in, garbage out, no pun intended. If you have a consistency of what you feed it, you'll have a consistency of what it outputs. So in theory, we would rather initially go after industrial waste. So a company that's making fiber optic cable, they're wrapping that cable in a plastic insulator, right? And that when they set those machines up, there's a bunch of plastic that drops to the bottom while they're getting it set up and fine-tuned for that run.
Right.
And the typical company that's in that business is producing 40 to 80 tons per location of waste per month. At least there we would have consistency of uh, the input or the feedstock. If you take municipal solid waste, you need a very expensive 25, 50, $100 million system that's robotic, and it picks and sorts the waste as it comes in from the trucks. Because people just pick up the waste, and it gets then just put into a pile and goes into the mound at the landfill. In our case, we'd want to have the plastics. So I said 3 megawatts on the tires. Well, if we have the right plastics that we put in the machine, the BTUs on the plastics are the highest, and we can produce 4 megawatts per machine.
And
To put that in perspective, what's that?
And no negative outcomes with pollution.
No, so what we have is pyrolysis is the chemical reaction of burning something in a vacuum, and that's been around forever. That's not something new. What we have is advanced pyrolysis, and in our case, we're actually able to monitor the synthetic gas coming off of the burn in the vacuum, so it's not escaping into the atmosphere. It's all being done in a vacuum, and we're able to modulate or create an efficient frontier of both the temperature and the time that it passes through the machine on the conveyor belt, so that we can optimize whatever the outcome is that we're looking for. We can produce hydrogen with this machine. So if we put coal in there, we can produce hydrogen that is cleaner and better than anything else right now. If we put rubber tires in there, rubber tires have a certain amount of hydrogen that we can pull off the burn. If we want to just produce electricity, then we're monitoring those gases for the gas that's going to run the genset generator. So we want to optimize that for the highest output for that in that scenario.
Tires have also been an environmental problem for years. I know that one of the solutions that when I was running back and forth to Africa, the tires they have on cars are a lot worse than the tires we have here. And we were looking at, instead of like dumping them in the ocean, which a lot of people were doing to create reefs, we were looking at actually putting them in containers and sending them back to places that we were going to and having them reused there. So tires have always been a problem of getting rid of. And this could be what you're saying, it could be a solution.
Oh, it's definitely a solution, and that's one of the things that we're actually focused on is the tires, because our engineer that designed the system also has patents on a machine that will take the rubber tires and it'll process 18,000 tires a day in this machine. And what it does is it uses cryogenics to actually freeze the tire, and then it smashes it, and you end up with 1 million black BBs of rubber. And all the steel belting just falls to the bottom, can be pulled out with magnets. And the fabric that's in there is also separated. So you end up deconstructing it in that process and then burning pure rubber pellets in the machine. So yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's scalable. So one machine, let's say you were just going to burn wood chips, then you're looking at, producing 1.3 megawatts per machine. Your typical data center is running, and this is not the big hyper centers, this is just a regular data center, is running 100 megawatts, which is about 500 homes worth of electricity. Nonstop. Wow. Unlike homes that actually don't really use much electricity at night compared to daytime, right? So the issue with the data centers is that there isn't enough power on the grid to power these things. And at the same time, we're in a race, a war with China. to get the best and most amazing AI capacity on the planet. And so the only way we're going to be able to do that is to produce power to run these centers.
And didn't President Trump put out an executive order that said that data centers will be responsible for producing their own electricity? Am I correct
Well,
in
he
that?
gave them, I think, an executive order that opened up the ability for them to become their own power plant
Okay.
and give them latitude. Because here's the other political hot potato: is that in Florida you have Florida Power and Light,
Right.
and
And
so
they're not going to give
they're
up
not
any of
interested
their
in anybody playing
territory to
power plant
anybody.
except them.
Right.
Right? So this is going to force them to allow it to happen. So it's an interesting time we're in because we've got to have power to these systems. We've got to have the ability to win this race.
So say you have a 100 megawatt user, and you can stack these generators, tie them in where the I guess
I wouldn't say you're gonna put them into an area. I don't think stacking is probably not the right term because of the visual, but you're gonna lay them out.
lay them
So
out.
yeah, so basically, in a 5-acre parcel, we can produce the same amount of power that it takes 20 acres of solar. To give you
Right.
a scale, and unlike solar or wind, if it's not windy, you're not getting any power.
Right.
And if it's not sunny, you're not getting any power. And the one thing that people that don't know enough about solar, the technology really hasn't changed in 50 years. So there has really not been any advancement. And the thing that is the most difficult for people to comprehend is that the inefficiency of it is only enlarged by dust, pollen, anything that could fall on that glass will further impede its ability to collect power from the sun.
So you'll need
So
window washers out there.
so I have a buddy in Florida who moved down from New York, and he's an electrical engineer, and he got into the solar business in Orlando, and he's been crushing it. He said he's actually making more residual money by doing a $99 every quarter they come out and power wash your your solar panels.
Your panels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So there's ancillary business to be had from that, but it's still, Florida does have a lot of sunny days, but there are days that it's rainy too.
Oh, yeah.
So this is no interruption. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The systems are down for 5 days a year for maintenance, and you would just stagger them in your application so that it doesn't impact your usage.
Well, where would you get the fuel? I mean, you're talking about with the tires, to freeze them, to bust them up and get your beads, to pull the metal out with magnets, remove any kind of cloth. I mean, there's got to be an industry to supply.
That's a machine. Yeah, there's a machine that we have that can do that.
Okay.
And so we just need to get the tires to the facility, and then it would deconstruct the tires. That feedstock would then go into the machine, and it doesn't have to be just that feedstock. We could combine it with wood. We could combine it with plastics. The bottom line.
It doesn't have to be one fuel at all.
Yeah, no. But I just want the ones that are going to be the highest BTUs. In a federal building when they change the carpet, they're 12-inch by 12-inch tiles of carpet squares, not tiles, but they look like tiles, right? Those are nylon, which is oil. The back of them is rubber, which is oil.
Right.
So all of this stuff is the high BTU stuff.
And
so I wrote an article a couple of days ago that was we published in LinkedIn, and in that article it was discussing that garbage is the new energy source,
and we're making it all the time.
We're making it all the time.
Yeah.
Making it all the time.
You don't have to put it in a super tanker to get it across halfway around the
No,
world either.
no, it's just getting smarter. And then this lends itself to enabling what we call circular economies. That's the buzzword. And what that really means in English is we're deconstructing things that were garbage. We're producing energy. We're getting elemental carbon, or what they call carbon black, out of the process. And that can be further refined and turned into graphene. And graphene is what's being used in these batteries that that DARPA loves, because when they're done, they're carbon. There is no recycling issue. So
But
there's a lot of different things that we can do with it. But the primary thing that we're focused on is energy and hydrogen production.
okay, I'm a potential buyer. Say, I want to buy one. If I buy a coal fire generator or furnace or whatever, I got to have a fuel source. How would I get a fuel source for one of your type of generators?
Well, the machine itself, we would, depending on where you're located, we would source the fuel, the bio,
Okay. And the reason I'm bringing that up, Antonio, is because doing my research on this project itself, I looked at a project. I'm in Wellington right now. I drove across State Road 80, and I know you're familiar with the area. So I drove across 80, and out on 80, they're looking at putting in a huge data center out there. And I was just in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I own this data center, and I need 100 million megawatts a day.
Yeah, theirs is more than 100 megawatts. It is a gigawatt. It's gigawatts. That's a really big one. And my recollection is that they're trying to locate it next to a Florida Power and Light gas, natural gas.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and the reason for that is that if it's located next to the natural gas,
So just run that over.
they'll just run that over right there, and that's going to run turbines, which will run generators, and using natural gas, and not.
For the play of the story here, it's
Yes.
not there. And I'm looking at your technology, and I was thinking, and this is just what I'm going through my head. I'm a potential buyer, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, where do I get, if I need, let's say, 36 tons of wood
A day
to get
per
one
machine.
per machine.
So you need 3,600. Yeah. So let me give you the perfect storm. It's not in Florida, but it's a real story, right?
Okay.
In Georgia Pacific closed all of their paper mills recently. And these mills, one is outside of Savannah, but these mills were there for 80 years, making cardboard, for instance. And within an hour drive of that mill are farmers that have been growing pulpwood for 80 years to feed the mill. The mill's gone, and they've got laddered farms. This one comes due this year. This one comes due next year. Okay, to provide pulpwood to a business that's no longer there.
Right.
So I was with one of the top officials in Georgia discussing this just before Christmas, and we did the math. And that one mill, not all six, but just that one that we're talking about right now, they were providing a little bit more, about 20% more pulpwood per week than what we would need to run 100. And that mill was being provided with about 20% more per week than what we would require to run 100 of our machines. So there is feedstock available. Depends on where it is, depends on what it is. So yeah, so the location has to do with it, as well as we're in the process of sourcing a lot of this to be able to do this both regionally and in site specific situations. Having a railroad spur is probably key so that we can get stuff moved across the state or across the country um, for
And
that.
what would maybe you'll know, what would that be? How would that compare with traditional fuels having that much lumber to keep that generator fired? Do you have an idea? A guess?
What do you mean? Like,
So if you have a generator there that's burning enough fuel
mhm.
for a gigawatt, how much?
Well, not a gigawatt, but 100 megawatts. You're going to do 100
Okay,
machines.
let's do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So
Okay.
like you got 100 machines there,
Hmm.
and it costs X amount of dollars to keep all of those running, or keep that plant running. And
Hmm.
now you have like 100 machines.
Hmm.
What would be the fuel cost comparisons there? Would it be about the same or less?
Well, I mean, again, it all depends on whether you're having to buy the feedstock,
Right. The load.
right? Or
Okay.
if you're able to. So right now, when in Manhattan, when a contractor is putting in a new flooring system
Right.
for a building, right? There's a contractor that goes in to demolish the old floor.
Right.
So he pulls up all those carpet tiles, carpet squares, and he puts them in a dumpster, and that dumpster gets driven to the landfill, and he has to pay a tipping fee
Right.
based upon what he's dumping, which is in New York City no less than $100 a ton. Okay,
Right.
so we could easily step in and say we'll do it for $50 a ton, and they bring it to us.
And then transport it over to and get
No, in other words, they would bring it right to us to the facility, so that we could just feed it to the machine.
so it would be just a matter of managing the disposables
Hmm.
and to get them to okay.
Yeah,
And
and right now, today, we get paid for that. In addition to the fact that it shows up, because they're used to paying a tipping fee. In the future, you probably will have people thinking that what they have is worth something, and they're going to want to get paid for it.
right.
But we're not there yet. But we're also making preparations for that happening and being ahead of that curve. Can't comment on that today, but I can tell you that it's in the works.
What okay, so we see that if they're throwing something into a landfill, they're going to pay that tipping fee. We said $100, where you might be able to get it for 50, or
They're
charge
going to pay us.
charge
They're
it.
going to bring it to us and pay us 50 instead of 100. So they're going to want. We're incentivizing them to not go to the landfill.
Right. So
Okay.
then, okay, so we're talking about, so you need 100 of them. We don't know what the cost would be, but how would that compare to like the conventional fuels used now? I mean,
Well, I can't. I don't know that I can compare that so easily.
yeah,
I know what I can tell you is that I just recently did the modeling on one of our units burning plastics and producing 4 megawatts a day in one unit,
right,
and we didn't get any tipping fees. We just they came and gave us the plastic, okay,
right,
instead of revenue from that. So without that revenue, right? And we sold the power for 10 cents a kilowatt,
hmm,
okay, which is below Florida Power and Light's 14 cents a kilowatt, okay, and
right,
below Pacific Gas and Electric in California's 30 cents a kilowatt. So just
right.
follow me through the math on 10 cents.
Sure, sure.
So on 10 cents, we end up, and I can take you through the math later, but the net result is that at 10 cents a kilowatt, 4 megawatts burning the plastics, right, will produce $259,000 worth of electricity per month.
Okay. I mean, and there's also a snowball effect from this too, because now you have a place where garbage is going that is not creating any kind of pollution or any other, water pollution, air
Contamination.
pollution, contaminations and
Right.
so forth.
Hmm.
There is a ripple effect from using a system like this. I was just trying to compare the monetary advantage of it as well.
Well, so if you in doing the math that I did, the internal rate of return of that $259,000 a month cash flow. Okay, I said at $259,000 a month, the lifespan of this technology is 20 years, and one machine is 12 million bucks. So if you do the entire input of how much you had to put down, and then when do you make the next payment, and then you make the next payment, and then you turn the machine on and you start running it, and we've not made any increase of the price per kilowatt, which is kind of silly because power will be more expensive in 5 years than it is today, and in 20 years for sure, right? But in this model, keeping the price at 10 cents a kilowatt, we end up with a all-in internal rate of return of 25%, which is phenomenal.
Plus power.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have these working in the you have them working now.
So the technology was developed, and the U.S. Federal Department of Forestry did a 5-year study, and they used the machine that's sitting in North Carolina, in Charlotte, at the R&D Center, and they shipped from the Pacific Northwest lumber that had been destroyed by this nasty beetle kill. And so their premise was that putting it through a machine like ours could produce enough electricity that even though they couldn't sell the lumber, they could still make money. And the good news is that they were correct. The bad news is the three biggest players in the Pacific Northwest went under during that 5-year study.
Oh,
So, yeah. So the reality is that we've got a tremendously smart guy that has invented more stuff in his sleep than most people will in a lifetime. Okay. And he has brought us in as the exclusive purveyors of this technology because what we're going to do is promote this technology and put it in places that will make a difference.
Do you have like certain regions that you're looking at? I mean, like you got the Pacific Northwest loaded with trees. You have New York loaded with all kinds of waste, and other places. We have it down here as well. Are you looking at regional moving regionally on this, or are you targeting regions that have fuels that would with enough fuels that would work on these?
There's probably enough fuel in any of the geographies that we're looking at, but specifically, we're looking at Texas right now. We're looking at Fresno, California, a facility out there. We happen to see a opportunity there with a packing house that is paying 30 cents a kilowatt for power when they shouldn't be.
And you can cut it down by 2/3.
Well,
Based on your experience.
well, I would say that not every situation is them buying a machine and producing power for themselves. Some situations are they don't want to buy the machine, they just want to buy the power. Does that make sense? You froze again.
Yeah, you too. Go back to that. Not
Okay.
every situation's the same, I think you were going to say.
Yeah, so you've got a company that doesn't necessarily want to pay 12 million bucks for a machine, but they can use the output, right? And then you've got in that situation, the question begs, you're in California where you've got the worst regulations on any kind of business. What is the best way to put that together so that you're doing it correctly and lawfully and providing them? So it might be that we're able to reduce their electric bill by 50%. So maybe they're at 15 cents, but they don't own the machine. I mean, I can't tell you until we get there, but that's part of its regulatory issues. And that's why when the president said that these companies can start to become their own power source, that's a big deal, assuming it translates to other businesses, not just data centers,
Oh, yeah, I would suspect that would be the case because the ripple effect of that. If they want to be able to draw power from anywhere they can. I think they're doing this under the auspices of national security. So I guess they would use any resource they can to increase that power capability.
hmm Yeah. So Texas, California, and the reason for California is that there is as was quoted to us by a very highly paid consultant that works for the Sierra Group in California. There is a homeless supply of dead trees in the forests of California, tinderwood, for lack of a better descriptor.
Right.
And the concern that they have is that the state of California has not done its stewardship duty to remove those trees from the forests,
Right.
which means that dry summer and any small fire, that will not be 65,000 acres. It'll be 15 million acres that are going to go up.
Well,
And so
they kind of learned their lesson on that last one, I think.
you would hope, but they don't have money to clean it up. And this is the funny thing. When we discussed this the other day with them, they said, well, how much are you willing to pay for the dead trees? And I said, well, I was kind of hoping that you guys would just take them out of the forest and give them to us. And they said, well, we don't have budget for that. And the alternative, which is what they're doing now, is controlled burns. So the state that's the greenest state in the United States, in theory, okay, California, is taking these dead trees and putting them and having bonfires, polluting the atmosphere, when they're all so high and mighty with their electric cars and everything. I mean, it's like really, this is the solution
There's a lot
you
of
have.
hypocrisy. It sounds like a lot of hypocrisy.
Yeah, yeah,
And a lot of counterproductive ideas based on what they've been trying to do over all these years.
yeah. But there's a couple $100 billion that's disappeared from this train that they were supposed to put in too. So who knows where there's definitely been money there. Where it's gone, I have no idea. It's not my state, but I'm just looking at it objectively and saying, hey,
That's why I posed the question: are you looking regionally? I guess things like cost per kilowatt hour would.
yeah. Well, so when you're competing with 30 cents a kilowatt,
right.
then you've got a real value proposition.
Right.
Yeah. So in Idaho, because of all the geothermal power and all of the rivers that run through Idaho,
Right.
it's 6.5 cents a kilowatt here.
Right.
Right. So I don't think we'll ever be in a competitive situation there. The only thing we would be is an alternative, because nobody wants the grid affected by a bunch of data centers. The scarcity of it would do two things to the consumer. It would, in theory, drive prices up if they were connected to the grid, and it would also create problems, like rolling blackouts that they have in California all the time.
Now, let me. Does the regulations allow you to bring in, like, say, one of these generators and put it in a, I don't know, say a 40 to 50 home neighborhood, and allow them to be off the grid on that? Would that?
Well, I would say that all depends on what state you're in and what you're doing. Okay, because Florida Power and Light had, I don't know if it's still active, a law on the books that would not allow you to go off grid.
I thought I heard that too.
Yeah,
but that was a while ago.
Yeah, so who knows if it's still there in Florida? But nonetheless, I mean, in theory, if you owned a machine and you were using it, you can use your own power, no different than buying solar panels for your house.
Well,
And,
would
and
the
I think the issue there was that when you have solar panels, many of these power companies will require you to sell the excess back to them.
yes. So you're
Okay.
still tied to the grid somehow.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So,
But I'm talking
but
completely independent.
yeah, I don't know that that's legal in Florida. I'm sure
I
it's
wonder.
legal in Montana, in my guess, right?
I
You
wonder
know,
if the that executive order would
help
impact
people with
that.
that. I don't know. But you know, at the end of the day, if we're looking at you know, being off grid or having a community that was, you know, 50 people with 5 acre lots, okay, and just have a nice community. I have a funny feeling that if the association owned the machine, then they probably could use it, and what they're not using, they would have to sell back to the grid. Is my again? I haven't seen the laws in that particular whatever
Right,
state we're
right.
talking about, but I think in theory it works.
Okay. It's just the regulatory side might. And again,
And,
the ripple
yeah,
effect from that, if you had a neighborhood, say, let's say 100 homes,
yeah.
would one of those machines do 100 homes?
You probably need a couple.
Probably
Depends
need a
on how
couple.
big the homes are. You know.
All right, let's say 50 homes, and it can do 50 homes
Yeah,
in a small neighborhood.
yeah.
You won't need an outside garbage collection.
Mm-mm.
Everything can go right to that,
Hmm.
in theory.
Hmm.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, part of the thing with garbage and feedstock is, you know, sometimes things have to be shredded to be at a size that will fit in the machine, right?
Right, right,
You know,
right.
somebody decides they're going to get rid of a Allen Edmonds or Allen, you know, furniture, you know, dining room table. That's not
Right,
going to fit in the machine. So
right.
that'll probably have to go through a shredder or a chipper to be in a format that, you know. So there's when you have municipal solid waste, you still have a lot of hands that have to touch it, if that makes
Yeah, a
sense.
little processing of it to make sure
Yeah, and so like 12 inch by 12 inch tiles will go right in.
that.
Okay, so I'm looking at what's the lowest hanging fruit, has the highest BTU output, and we can lock down every piece of it in the country.
Wow. When are you going to start circulating these machines? Do you have an idea?
Well, so the inventor just got an order for 13 of them, which they're starting on soon for Puerto Rico.
Which would be a great spot for them.
Yeah, and we also have a bolt-on desalinization unit that it will use the power. This machine is like a self-looking ice cream cone. Once it starts burning, about 8 hours into the first day, there's no more. You know, they start it with natural gas or propane to start the fire,
Uh-huh.
and once it gets to a certain point, about 8 hours in, it's perpetual.
And you know,
It makes its own fuel while it's making fuel to run the genset generator.
and you said that it's what 5 days a year for maintenance.
Yep.
You know, when I was overseas and we had a power outage. I was there for a couple months, and we had 100K generator. And when I was told that that was going to be that, you know, we're not getting power back for, you know, another 4 or 5 months, I immediately went out and found another generator. Had switches put in so we could shut them on and off. But we had to service that every like 20 some hours, every
Hmm.
30 hours or something. And so every other day when we would
Hmm.
shut one off and click one back on, somebody had to
Right.
go out there and check the oil, you know,
Right.
clean this up, make
Well,
sure everything.
in this machine, you've got um, some pretty amazing meteorology that is done on the metals that are in it,
Right.
and so they withstand the pressures and the temperatures and all of that that happen inside the machine.
Yeah.
So It's a pretty robust situation. With a 20-year life and PMs once a year.
Wow. I mean, 5 days, 5 days a year, you're not losing a lot for that.
Right. Right.
That's
And if
pretty
you
good.
have a few of them, then you just stagger those so that you're um, not impacting the use.
The flow of the
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
Same thing we were doing. We were shutting one off, servicing it while the other one ran, and it
hmm
was continuity of power.
Now the generators that get hooked up to it, the Caterpillar generators, those need to be serviced much more, just like
Right.
the ones you were talking about.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
because they're motors like any other motor.
So why was Puerto Rico targeted to sell these down there first?
I don't know the details except that one of Tucker's 12 disciples, they're the top 12 engineers from NASCAR in Charlotte.
Oh,
Okay, they're the guys that helped him take this from version 1 to version 3 and beyond. And one of them is tied in, I believe, pretty well in Puerto Rico. And I think that's how it happened. It
well,
was brought that way.
I got to tell you, I think Puerto Rico is a great place, to try to kick these off based on what happened with a lot of hurricanes
hmm
um, um, and the power problems they have had down there. After that last one they had down there, that big one,
hmm
Christ, they didn't have power for like almost a month or two. I
hmm
understand. I mean,
Well,
now,
Hawaii is another place that would probably be in a similar ilk.
right?
But again, as much as it'd be fun to go to Hawaii to see them put in, we've got some other places. Specifically, we brought um, Hugo Mijares. Hugo is one of the top architects on the planet,
Hmm.
and he's based in Miami, originally from Venezuela. And his family is in Venezuela. His wife's family is in Venezuela. Uh, I was on the phone with him today. There's a real desire and some real heavyweight people that want to rebuild Venezuela now that Maduro is no longer there.
Yeah,
And so he has selected our technology as one of three technologies that he would like to proliferate in Venezuela in the cleanup.
I can see that being a logical place for this type of technology.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have they have plenty of stuff down there to burn. You got industry in there. A lot of it's remote uh, with the oil, the mining, and so forth that's down there. I think that'd be a great
hmm
place for that to
Yeah.
be.
So we've got Florida as a market that we're looking at, obviously, and Texas, California, Georgia, where the outside of Savannah. So we're pursuing that situation. Additionally, I'll give you another example. In Georgia, they have the lumber mills that take a huge round tree and they cut it into a rectangle, right? And so the trimmings that those mills produce just to make two by fours, okay, the trimmings are over 40 tons a day.
Wow.
So we could easily put one machine in your typical um, lumber mill, and all of the electricity would be free.
Right. That's a great use of it as well.
Yeah,
And to
they don't
keep
they
the
don't they don't have to they don't have to pay to haul it off. It's immediately digested
and it's clean,
and it's
uh,
clean.
and it's and it's constantly going. That is
hmm
true sustainable power
Yeah,
right there for that
yeah,
industry. True
yeah,
sustainable.
yeah,
As long as you're cutting wood, you got power, and as long as you're
yeah,
cutting wood, you're making money. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Interesting. So,
yeah.
so obviously, 2026 is looking pretty good for the company.
I think we're on to some big things, and I think that by the end of the year we should have some real traction.
And I think that Venezuela, I think, is going to be another market that's going to be open to us now. I
Hmm.
think that after January and the what do they call it? The Donroe doctrine that is going to be that is applying to the Western Hemisphere. It looks like we'll have a little bit more say on what who is a player down there and who isn't
Yeah.
for our sector.
I think there's going to be some exciting things happening moving forward, and don't discount Cuba as not being a potential market either.
Yeah.
Only being 90 miles off the shore, off of Key West.
Well, look at one of their biggest problems right now is not getting fuel,
Hmm.
and with this, and
Hmm.
once things are normalized there, boy, that'll be
Hmm.
a hell of a market for you.
They got 3,800 miles of beachfront.
And it used to be the jewel of the Caribbean, from what I hear,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
until Castro got his hands on it. So
yeah,
anyway, that's fantastic, man.
yeah.
I'm thrilled for you. I think there's good things in the future. I'd like to see. You said that there's a demonstration going on in May
We're doing a demonstration May 20th in Charlotte.
20th. Now, will there be like videos and stuff? I'm sure you will.
Oh yeah, we're going to have videos taken, and we'll be posting those, I'm sure, to our website, which, by the way,
Cool.
is Tersis Tersis .tech
And
TECH.
would you be willing to come back on at
And
another time? Would you be willing to
our
come back
stock
on?
symbol is absolutely love it. Thank you for having me this time. I'd love to do it again. So our stock symbol is TERS.
No, I wasn't getting rid of you. I was asking you
No,
after this demonstration, would you be
yeah.
willing to come on again and maybe like talk to us about
Oh yeah,
what
for sure.
happened? And I would like to hear that, and I'm sure some of our listeners would as well. I think this is
Yeah,
a big break, a big break.
yeah. But we're looking forward to it. It's an exciting time.
It sure is, it sure is. All right, buddy. I thank you for coming on. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
you've got bigger and better things to do than rap with an old friend like me. But
I wish we were smoking cigars right now, but we'll do that next time.
you know what? Do it live next time. I like it. Come on, you can
Okay.
drive over with me first thing in the morning.
Sounds great.
All right,
Thanks, Guy.
Antonio. Thank you so much
Take
for
care.
being on. Bye now.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Bye bye.